Israel Adesanya was accused of steroid use by Sean Strickland during his time with the UFC. This has all blown up and become a huge situation in the UFC currently, so stick around to find out all the inside details on that. We'll also touch on other current UFC news you need to know about, including Conor McGregor wanting to get back in the ring despite all of his prior injuries against the underdog Charles Oliveira, who is quickly working his way to the top. Stay tuned for all the details. Sean Strickland accuses Israel Adesanya of drug use. Sean Strickland is on his way to the top of the UFC middleweight class, and he believes Israel Adesanya will still be the champion when he arrives. But how quickly will Strickland, record of 24-3 in MMA, 11-3 in the UFC, get his chance? He indicated it will depend on the outcome of a few major divisional matches, including his UFC Fight Night headliner against Jack Hermansson on February 5th. That's 1 week before UFC 271 on February 12th, where Adesanya, with his record of 21-1 overall and 10-1 in the UFC, will defend his 185-pound title against Robert Whittaker in a rematch. Strickland added the forthcoming bout between Jared Cannonier and Derek Brunson is also in the mix, however. As long as he wins his next fight, he believes he'll be fine. Strickland, ranked number 10 in the latest USA Today Sports MMA Junkie middleweight rankings, finds himself in a good position if he can get through number 8 ranked Hermansson, who's got a record of 22-6 overall and 9-4 in the UFC. And the other results need to go his way too. He's more than happy to take another fight to increase his value while the championship scenario plays out, and a title bout with Adesanya might happen in the second half of 2022. While speaking on getting in the ring against Adesanya, Strickland accused the UFC fighter of using performance-enhancing drugs. Israel Adesanya was accused of steroid use by Sean Strickland during his stint with the UFC. This certainly isn't the first time an accusation about this kind of thing has been thrown at Adesanya. Paulo Costa said the same thing before their fight when the champion was suffering from edema in his right pectoral muscle. Costa said it was because Adesanya was coming off a steroid cycle, but it was nothing more than an accusation that Stylebender dismissed. It's clear that Strickland simply threw this dig at Adesanya to get a rise out of him or to dig at him. As we all know by now, drama and tensions between fighters sell fights, so it's probably more a marketing move on their part. Previous steroid accusations against Adesanya. Israel Adesanya is without a doubt one of the most dominant UFC champions right now, but he was placed on display, and not in a nice way, just over a year ago. He met Paulo Costa, who was also undefeated at the time, and he easily defeated him. However, some UFC fans believe Israel Adesanya must have cheated because the fight was so easy for him. While the fight was a powerful one-sided affair in which Adesanya absolutely demolished everything Costa had to offer, spectators and experts observed something else as well. According to MMA Junkie, some spectators noted that Adesanya's right pectoral muscle looked different from his left pectoral muscle both before and after the battle. His right pectoral muscle appeared to have sagging tissue, making it appear larger than his left pectoral muscle. As MMA Junkie pointed out, this could be gynecomastia, also known as gyno. Gyno is a possible side effect of steroid use, which prompted some fans to accuse Adesanya of doing so. Others in the UFC, like notable competitors like John Jones, began mocking Adesanya for having breasts. However, these were merely rumors and accusations. According to MMA Junkie, one of his trainers, Eugene Behrman, just laughed about the accusation. "We know that nothing could be further from the truth," Behrman stated. As a result, when something's so bizarre, it becomes amusing. Because his gym has a stringent code of ethics, Behrman is convinced that Adesanya isn't taking steroids or other performance-enhancing medications. Furthermore, because their gym employs the correct approved pills and stuff, Behrman believes it's improbable that Adesanya unintentionally received any performance-enhancing chemicals. Adesanya also denied using performance-enhancing drugs, yet no one can contradict what the public witnessed. Something was visibly wrong with Adesanya's right pectoral muscle, but this is all conjecture and nothing was ever proven. Men can get gyno for a variety of causes according to the Mayo Clinic. True, steroid abuse can induce gyno, but there are also a number of natural reasons, including a number of medications that are completely allowed in the UFC. While the UFC isn't a court of law, the Mayo Clinic has stated that marijuana and alcohol can induce gyno. Additionally, persons should be presumed innocent until proven guilty. Many UFC competitors have been accused of misusing drugs simply because they have large muscles. Therefore, UFC fans are particularly horrible at this. Conor McGregor desperately wants to get in the ring with Charles Oliveira. Everything you need to know. Charles Oliveira successfully defended his UFC lightweight title in Las Vegas this past week, taking the win by submitting Dustin Poirier with a standing rear naked choke in the main event of UFC 269, and now he's looking at his options. Unless the UFC wants to market a return story for ex-champion Conor McGregor, who remains the biggest pay-per-view draw in cage fighting history, his victory over the Diamond opened the way for a Justin Gaethje title fight in early 2022. Oliveira weighed in on his Twitter feud with Conor McGregor just days after his bonus-winning performance and claimed that he would definitely be interested in getting in the ring with the Notorious, despite losing his last 2 fights. When asked if he would be ready to wait a few months to fight McGregor rather than defending his title against Justin Gaethje first, Oliveira said yes without hesitation. However, it would be tough for the UFC to justify another championship shot for McGregor, who has only 1 win at 155 pounds, has lost 3 of his previous 4 fights, and barely reached the division top 10 in the most recent rankings update. After fracturing his leg in his highly anticipated bout against Poirier in July, McGregor headlined the top 6 most profitable pay-per-view events in UFC history in terms of pay-per-view buys, including 2 in 2021 versus Poirier, but he still has no date for his comeback to the cage. The Brazilian, who has participated in the UFC since 2010 and holds the UFC records for most submissions with 15, finishes with 18, and bonuses with 18, knows that taking on McGregor would be a challenge, but it would have a huge positive impact on his bank account, that's for sure. Oliveira had to fight through ups and downs in his career for over a decade before being given a shot at the UFC's 155-pound title. Now, he claims contestants can whine about being overtaken by the Notorious, and it will make no difference. When asked if he would fight McGregor, he stated, "If I had the opportunity to fight Conor, I would definitely fight Conor. The belt is mine regardless. The division has to get by and wait a little bit. There's nothing else to do. We have to think about our families, our children, think about what we can do down the line." McGregor calling out Oliveira online. Unless Conor McGregor is miraculously medically cleared to compete, Notorious is still recovering from a broken leg sustained in his trilogy defeat to Poirier, and most likely is not ready to compete until late next year. Oliveira would have plenty of time to confront the highlight before resting and returning to the octagon. This doesn't stop McGregor from making a slew of accusations on Twitter and outright asking Oliveira when they'll be fighting. However, UFC President Dana White grants the wealthy ex-champ special treatment. That's because, despite his recent struggles, McGregor remains the most lucrative draw in all of mixed martial arts, so if the organization can wring another couple of pennies from the Notorious money tree, so be it. We're sure this isn't the last time we hear from McGregor on Twitter about his desire to face Oliveira, but the chances of him getting back in the ring right now are very slim. MMA, on the other hand, is kind of prize fighting that does not follow the same regulations as most sports. Top contenders like Gaethje will have no choice but to wait if the organization can get another blockbuster pay-per-view, while McGregor remains a legitimate attraction. Only time will tell if they get in the ring together, but right now, it feels like a 50-50 chance. And there you have it, everything you need to know about Sean Strickland and how he sees himself taking over the UFC title from Israel Adesanya, along with accusing Adesanya of taking performance-enhancing drugs, specifically steroids. Additionally, we also touch on Conor McGregor and why he really wants to take on the rising star, Charles Oliveira, who's quickly working his way to the top. It's unclear right now if this fight would even take place due to McGregor's previous injuries, but he does draw in a lot of money, so anything's possible. Make sure to let us know your thoughts down below, and if you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss any of our new and upcoming content. Thanks for watching!